kind of briefly because you guys the last 2 times have been talking about it. But it's a pretty important part of natto. And so I want to just kind of go through it quickly, just kind of review it a little bit. And I'm sure what I'm going to tell you now, you guys have heard it the last 2 potlucks.
Well, not everybody's been here.
Okay. And it was numbers, and numbers don't work very well for us. They just don't work that well. So I'm going to use a more graphical technique for presenting these numbers so that they'll be more memorable because I think that's what it takes. So this is probably one of the most graphical ways to present numbers. Very leading edge. It's called power pointer. This is my power pointer, and I'm going to use that to put natto on the ceiling. That's 1,100. 1,100 micrograms of vitamin K2 in natto per 100 milligrams. The next closest, you say you don't want to eat natto, you don't like the taste, it's too much trouble to find it, blah, blah, blah. The next closest is goose liver pate. That's 370. That's right about at my waist. So, natto, goose liver pate right here. You're not going to find goose liver pate at the briar patch. I don't think you're going to find it anywhere. So you say, okay, next on the list, what's my next choice? I don't want to take supplements. I like food sources. The next closest is some hard cheeses are 76. So we're getting down maybe to my knees down here somewhere. I'm going to have to come out from behind my podium, my pulpit, because it's getting down pretty low now. It drops real fast from there. Soft cheeses are 56. Egg yolks are about the next. If they come from the Netherlands, they're 32. If they come from the United States, they're 15. So it's worth it spending twice. It's worth spending twice as much for the good eggs. They got twice as much. But we're talking about down by my ankles, just in that area. And from there, it drops even faster. It's down to, butter, 1.5.
Are you talking about K2 or?
K12.
I'm talking about the amount of K2 in these foods,
Okay.
which we didn't even know until about the last 10 years.
Okay.
And this list isn't very complete.
John, are you going to talk about the different forms of K2?
Yeah, good point. Because according to a lot of scientists and supplement makers and so forth, MK7 is the one you want. They say it raises the serum level of vitamin K2 in your blood quicker, for longer, and at a lower dose by quite a bit. So they're pretty convinced MK7 is the good one. But some people say, no, MK4 is better. That's the animal form. That's the one we should be using. That's what the big osteoporosis study in Japan was, so that must be the one that works. But I should point out that this natto up on the ceiling is MK7. That's the one that works at a much lower dosage than the other one, and yet it's got so much more. My opinion is that until we know more, it might be a good idea to get both. But that's something everybody has to kind of figure out for themselves at this point, I think.
Both what? The 2 and 7?
Yeah, and MK stands for menaquinone 4 and menaquinone 7. It kind of threw me for a long time because I thought menaquinone, MQ. Why do they call it MK? It turns out what it is mena, the M, menaquinone, vitamin K, 4 and 7. And it's just vitamin K1, basically, with some oxygen and carbon added to it. But by that addition, it's able to activate proteins. I'll talk about that in a minute. There's one more thing I want to talk about. I want to draw your attention to my ankles, because I know you've been admiring them. And this is a USDA list, so it's not quite the list we'd hope for. They don't talk about kimchi, but they mentioned that sauerkraut is, I think it was 5, so that's right, probably a little below my ankles. And but it's quite a bit of salmon, above salmon. Salmon is 0.5, and low milk, I think, is 1. Low-fat milk is 0. Low-fat meat is 0. But anyway, sauerkraut is 5. So the reason I want to draw your attention to that is there was an interview a couple of years ago when Dr. Mercola first found out about Kate Rayon Blau, who you guys have been talking about, wrote this really good book about vitamin K2. And he's interviewing her, and it's pretty clear that this is kind of, he's just learning about vitamin K2, and he's kind of going, wow, this stuff is really exciting. And he's really liking everything she's saying, and she's going along talking about this and that, and then she says, yeah, and kimchi can have, I think she said, it's somewhere up around goose liver pate, up around my waist, not down by my ankles. And his eyes got real big, which they do a lot. His eyes got real big, and he said, I think you made a mistake there. From what I've read, it's a lot lower than that. And she said, yeah, usually it is, but it can be very high if you use the right bacteria to ferment it. And he got real inspired by that. And I've been watching every time I get a chance to see anything new that she